There's different types of heroes across media. Some of them are traditional, some are non-traditional, some are somewhere in between. So I'm going to get into the different types of heroes and the categories they might fit in. Let's start with Marvel Comics. So one of the most popular heroes in Marvel Comics are the Avengers. You have Captain America and Iron Man as like the top members of the group, and they represent different styles of this type of hero. They're both duty bound. As Avengers, they are to protect the world, but they do things almost differently. Tony Stark is a little more by the book than, say, Steve Rogers, because Tony Stark, he works with Shield, he works with the government, he kind of sets rules, he tries to set a few boundaries, but he will go against them. He feels like they're going to be more compromising people's safety. The problem is, more often than not, he kind of gives in and does what he's asked to do, even if he hates it. Conversely, Captain America, he's duty bound as well. He will serve his country however he needs, but he's not a blind, loyal soldier. If he doesn't disagree with somebody above him, he's going to speak out. The thing with Steve Rogers is that his idea of America means freedom. It's not just about the government, it's about the people. That's who he fights for in the end. The ideologies between Iron Man and Captain America unfortunately led to a conflict at one point, but when that got resolved, things were almost back to normal. Point is, say these guys are part of the same category, so to speak, but they have different views on these categories, and that's what makes them interesting. Then you compare them to someone like Spider-Man. So, the difference between Spider-Man and these guys is that Peter Parker is a little more proactive when he's doing hero work, because the Avengers usually don't do hero work until something happens. If they know something's about to happen, I imagine they will step in, but Peter actually looks for trouble and sees if he could minimize it before it gets worse. So he's duty bound, but more to himself rather than the government. He's not working with Shield; he works for himself. His reasons are usually tied to responsibility, hence his catchphrase: "With great power, there must also come great responsibility." So that's what separates Peter from the Avengers. And Peter's had his own kind of by the books kind of guy when it came to Miguel O'Hara. But like Tony Stark, Miguel O'Hara is at least reasonable, so that even if he's by the book, he will put that aside and help Peter or anyone however he can. In the end, they're all superheroes. DC has something similar when it comes to Superman and Batman. They're both their own heroes. They're both duty bound. They don't exactly follow a higher up, but even they do things differently. Superman, like, he does things just because he wants to. Clark Kent has these powers and he uses them to help people. Bruce Wayne is more vengeful as a hero. Like, some versions of him do focus more on his heroic aspect, and it shows that he just generally wants Gotham City to be safer so people can be happy, but some versions of him is a little more aggressive than that. But this type of thing could apply to a lot of comics in different ways. Spawn, he's a duty bound hero. But then again, he's duty bound to like an evil force, and anything heroic is him to find that evil force. You have something like Invincible. Mark was somewhat duty bound, but as he grows, he becomes less duty bound and more tries to do his own thing. Just tries to do the right thing as a superhero. But we see this kind of in games too. So, action game protagonists are duty bound. Gabriel, looking from Siphon Filter, duty bound because he wants to rid the world of the Siphon Filter virus. Resident Evil characters such as Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy, and Jill Valentine, they're somewhat duty bound. They're not being like they kind of. Leon is duty bound by the government to do things, but he does have his own reason. He wants to take down the virus if he can. Chris and Jill, they work with the government. They kind of they call their own shots because they want to deal with the virus. So we see this type of duty bound thing when it comes to Metal Gear Solid. Snake, he uses his position to stop the Metal Gears. Granted, it's shown a few times that he really doesn't want to fight more than he has to, but he'll do it if he must. Mortal Kombat addresses this with Liu Kang and Kung Lao. They're duty bound to protect Earthrealm, but they see it as an honor. Liu Kang sees it as an honor. Some versions of Kung Lao, he sees it as just a chance to prove himself. This whole duty bound thing does kind of clash a little with My Hero Academia, because you see the different heroes and how they react to things. Like, a thing that some of the villains have pointed out to My Hero is that they believe that the heroes on the show care more about getting paid than saving people. But we see guys like All Might, he cares about saving people. To him, money is secondary, and Yen only cares about saving others. And then his protege Izuku Midoriya cares about saving others. But Izuku has shown signs that he too wants to be number one. He still cares. He's going to save people regardless, and hence his whole vigilante arc. But that's definitely a big topic in My Hero Academia. So, even a topic in Devil May Cry. Dante's thing is that he does what he does because for personal reasons mostly. He does want to protect the world from demons, but he has his own reasons. On the flip side, you have more adventurous superheroes. So, one example of a hero who is adventurous is Sonic. What makes Sonic interesting is that he is not meant to be a typical hero. Granted, Archie Comics and Sonic ZDM have him as a typical hero because he wants to be, but in the games, he is his free spirit. His freedom inspires others. Like characters like Amy Rose, Knuckles, Tails, they are all inspired by Sonic's free spirit of nature. Knuckles, who's more duty bound, is envious of Sonic's free spirit of nature. Like Sonic doesn't look for Eggman to fight him, he just happens to stumble across him on his adventures. And if Sonic sees Eggman doing something bad, of course he's going to stop him. So compare that to the comics where he's almost doing it because Sally Acorn's telling him to. But even in the shows and comics, Sonic can be inspirational to others because he has that free spirit mentality. Compared to the other freedom fighters, he's still kind of a free spirit. And it's thanks to Sonic that the computer Nicole developed more of a conscience, which allowed her to be more than just an assistant to Sally. She became like a little sister, or as intended, she was meant to be Sally's adopted daughter. And this in turn would affect Sally and show her true freedom. At least in a perfect world, that's how it would be written. Sonic will teach Sally true freedom. Point is, you have others like Kirby, who stumbles into adventures himself. He doesn't seek out King DDD. King DDD or whoever just gets Kirby's attention in some form or another. We got people like Lara Croft. She loves adventure. She doesn't do anything for money. She doesn't even try to be a hero. She just happens to do heroic things on her adventures. But she just loves exploring old architecture. That's her passion. Nathan Drake, same thing. The villains in the game will call him hero, but for the most part, Drake's just looking for treasure. He'll save the world if he needs to, or he'll stop people from doing something bad, but he just wants treasure. Same thing with someone like Sly Cooper. He has his own agendas for why he does what he does. And technically what he's doing is illegal, hence why he's being chased by a cop lady named Carmelita, but he's still just a free-spirited man doing his own thing. Ratchet and Clank are examples of characters who... Here's the thing with Ratchet and Clank, they are heroes, but they kind of also like the adventure. But I will get to that type of thing in a moment. I think another good example will be, say, the game Guilty Gear with the character Bridget. His whole thing is that he wants to go on an adventure. He's not really aiming to be heroic, he just uses adventure as a way to, like, prove his masculinity and whatnot. That's like a whole story arc with him. So let's get into, like, the middle ground of hero and adventurer. So, someone like, say, Mario is a good middle ground. He loves traveling, he loves his adventures, but he's duty-bound to help Princess Peach. Actually, he might even be duty-bound. He just sees her as a good friend. But there's a big thing of loyalty to his princess and wanting to just go on fun adventures. And we've seen this with other characters, like Link. I want to say it depends on the version of Link. Some versions of him are adventurous. Some versions of him are duty bound to protect Zelda. So that will depend on the game more than the character, because Link is a reincarnation type character. Someone like Shantae from the Shantae games, she is duty bound to protect her town, and she likes the idea of being a hero. But give her a chance, she will go on an adventure because she wants to see more of the world rather than just be stuck in Scuttletown. Spyro the Dragon, he's kind of duty bound, but he's also free spirited enough to kind of do his own thing. He does like the praise of being a hero, but he also seems to enjoy just traveling and hanging out with his friends. Um, and you have even though you have someone like Cole McGrath from the Infamous games, he's reluctantly duty bound, but we see that he's very passionate about urban exploration. Cat from Gravity Rush, she tries to use her powers for good, but more often than not, she just wants to relax when she can, or just see new things. She seems to get excited when she explores the world. Star Wars is a good example of someone who's a hero but an adventurer. Luke Skywalker didn't set out to be a hero. He just wanted to explore the galaxy, or at least get out of the farm. Him being a hero was his excuse, in a way. He's still duty bound as a Jedi, but this duty allows him to be free, almost. Like, bit of middle ground because he is duty bound to protect people, but he's no longer restricted. My Little Pony is another example of middle ground. Someone like Twilight Sparkle is like duty bound to serve Princess Celestia, but she's free enough that she can explore Equestria if she decides to. Granted, she's much more likely to stay at her library because she's more introverted, but if she gets to travel, then she seems to enjoy it. Rainbow Dash definitely enjoys the perks of being a hero and being free. And this type of thing varies among her friends who either enjoy the freedom or enjoy the work. The thing is, they're not traditional heroes because, they save the world, but they're still, for all intents and purposes, civilians. So it's no different than, like, say, the Power Rangers. For all intents and purposes, they're civilians, but when action calls, they suit up. So I guess they put them more in the duty-bound hero section. Goku, he's definitely, like, the thing with, let's go with Dragon Ball in general. The irony with Goku is that he was meant to be duty bound, or at least that's what he was believed after what Raditz told him. We find out later it was a retcon, but the point is, Saiyans are duty bound to take over planets. Goku forgot because he bumped his head and he was free. He spent his whole Dragon Ball being a free man, and he just wants to fight really strong opponents. So he doesn't do heroic things because he has to. He just stumbles into it. He himself would say he saves the world without trying to. He didn't fight Frieza. He didn't go after Frieza to save the universe, despite what the old dub said. He fought Frieza because Frieza was strong. Frieza is a bad person, and Goku will fight you if you're bad, but that's just Goku being a decent person rather than being a hero. Like, while I won't say I don't know much about One Piece, but I do know that even Luffy himself admits he's not a hero. He doesn't want to be. He respects heroes, but he just wants to be free. That's why he wants to be the Pirate King. So I could be off on that, but that's what I got from Luffy. He just wants freedom more than anything. The thing is, these characters, they come in all different shapes and sizes. You have even Cloud Strife from the Final Fantasy games. His whole thing is that he wanted to be a hero at first, but after that incident with Nibelheim and Sephiroth, he ditched that and became more of a mercenary. So he's still duty bound in some ways. He just wasn't really a duty bound hero. He was doing his own thing until he ironically became a hero later when he saved the world. So Cloud's a bit of a middle ground, like a lot of the Final Fantasy characters, but it should be worth noting he wanted to be a hero. Compare this to, like, say, Street Fighter. Ryu, he travels the world, and he has to save it along the way, compared to, like, someone like Chun-Li, who actively is trying to save the world from Shadow Law. So that's the thing with these heroes. There's no specific category. There's no like 100% type thing. They all have their own ways of doing it. The duty-bound heroes have their own sense of duty. The heroes who are adventurous still have heroic qualities in them. It's all about how these characters are written, and that's what makes these characters fascinating in their own ways. So these are like cores of who they are and be respected. And let's also remember one last little detail. Unsung heroes, characters like Itachi, Uchiha, and Severus Snape, heroes who no one knew they were heroes because they had to pretend to be the bad guys. Those are their own brand, but that's what adds so much to this. Some heroes like Kratos, who start off as not heroic, just more vengeful, he just gains those hero qualities later on. That's something. So that's just how I view things. So anyone else might have a different opinion, but I could talk more about these heroes, but I think I've been rambling long enough. So yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Have a good day.